You're watching It's Life with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to It's Life. It's Juan Lee, and I'm running solo tonight. Oliver's not with me, but welcome back. If this is your first time, not a backer, but the first time, welcome to It's Life Live, sponsored by Clear Journey, which is a nonprofit that supports individuals that are looking for answers to life's challenges. You know, we want to be able to give you the right mindset so that you might be able to reach your full potential in all areas of life. So if this is your first time, hit the like button, subscribe, be a part of the community. We are here to support you and build a community around you so that you can have all the things that you need so that you can navigate life more successfully. And tonight is no different. We're going to be here to tell you and talk to you about one of the various very important areas of life, and that's health and wellness, and that's one of our pillars. But before we get to that, and our guest, and we do have a guest, before we get to that, let's talk about a little bit about what we have for you. If you go over to our website, you can find a book called Budgeting Made Simple. It's a guide to taking charge of your money. We think that it's essential that you're able to manage your money successfully, because with that is the ability to reach your goals. And that's one of the very foundations that we like to support. So, and that's a free offer. Just go over to the website and receive that and get that free book. And that free book is at our website. And to get that, you just go over to clearjourney.org. And that's where you can pick that up. Where along we have other resources there, things that you can see that might be able to help you navigate life a little bit better. In addition to that, I can tell you a little bit about Clear Journey and what it's made, and what's at the foundation of Clear Journey. And that is a book that I wrote, and the book is called Love Made Simple: The Guide to Inner Peace, Contentment, and Success. And that gives us the foundation for Clear Journey, because that's where we build the mindset that we can navigate all aspects of life, whether it's our finances, our relationships, health and wellness, or overall self-improvement. That's the book that I wrote about 4 or 5 years ago, so that you might be able to get a foundation on what it is that we're doing and having the right mindset, because we believe that your attitude, and the attitude comes from your mindset. Your attitude is what drives you, that it really gives you the directions and the place that your perspective comes from. And so from there, we'd like to get that. If you could get that book, and it's at Amazon, you can pick it up on Amazon, or it's on Audible. But that will help us also, if you were to purchase one of those, would help us to continue to help others navigate life more successfully. All of the proceeds come here to Clear Journey, for the sake of being able to support Clear Journey. That is where we are today. If there is anything that you might want to know more about Clear Journey, again, go over to clearjourney.org, and look around, see if there's anything in there that can help you navigate life more successfully. Tonight, we have a guest that's going to be talking about health and wellness. And before we get to that, I'm just going to touch base on 3 attitudes that emulate from the attitudes, or from the mindset of love. And for tonight, as it relates to health and wellness, I think 3 of the attitudes that we like to focus on, the stress, is sacrifice, whereas that sometimes it takes, you're going to have to sacrifice some things to be able to maintain health and wellness. You know, we've got to put the investment in now to get the rewards later. And so sometimes that's what it's going to require, sacrifice. And then the other one is discipline. Discipline is something that nobody's going to make you do it. It's all on you. You have to be able to have a mindset or the attitude of discipline when it comes to health and wellness, because it will, it will sneak up on you. Your health, or your lack of your lack of um, preparedness, as we get a little bit older, it will begin to sneak up on you if you haven't taken care of yourself. And so you have to be disciplined, and it has to be over a long period of time. It's not something that you can do just once or twice. You got to continue it. It has to be mindset that you have to have. And you have to have the other one, as we talk about caring. You have to care. You have to self-love. You have to have care for yourself to be willing to be able to consciously be aware of the things that you need to do from day to day as it relates to your health and wellness. And the last one is responsibility. So I said it was going to be three, and it's four. It's four. And the responsibility is meaning that you're the only one that's going to be responsible for you. And you have to understand that, you can't wait for somebody else to tell you what you need to do or you should have done. All we're going to do is give you the tools, and now it's up to you. You have to implement them. So as our guest begins to share with us tonight, just think about it from these particular perspectives of these attitudes as it relates to what it's going to take to be able to reach and to fulfill this area, this information that this expert that we brought on has for us, so that we might be able to use it now and be a benefactor of it, not only in the present, but into the future. That being said, let's welcome our guest. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Our guest is a powerhouse in the world of fitness, certified personal trainer, specialized in nutrition and functional training, weight loss. She has 15 years of experience and the background as a chiropractic assistant. She helps individuals with safely navigating muscle and joint challenges while building strength and confidence. She's been featured in several magazines, and she's spoken in various occasions around the Washington, D.C. area. She also is the author of the book, Beating the Odds. What is it? Gaining and maintaining a healthy eating lifestyle for life. Please welcome, guys, Duanita Norman. Thank you very much. Hello, Duanita.
Hello, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm running solo, so I'm playing all the games. I'm hitting the switches and doing everything. Normally, Oliver and I play the tag team, but you and I'm playing all the games here. I'm hitting the buttons, reading our scripts and everything. So thank you for being here. Thank you very much. So tell us a little bit about you and why you do what you do and how you became a certified trainer and an emphasis in whatever the areas that you're interested in, and share with us.
Okay. I do what I do because I just absolutely love feeling great. And I would love for everybody else to have that same opportunity. And I believe people want to feel great, but they don't know how to. So if they're taught how to feel great, then they would do it. So I do what I do because I just absolutely love it. And I love every day when I wake up that I feel great. I don't have joint problems. I don't have issues. I don't have anything going on because of self-care. And for me, it started pretty early. At 8 years old, I had open heart surgery. They had to close a murmur, and it wasn't a big deal. But I always had to take penicillin before I went to the dentist, and I would basically almost get sick because I had to take it on an empty stomach. But I did that for many, many years. But once I got on my own and I was living on my own and had to go to the dentist, actually what happened was I forgot to get the penicillin one time. And so I tried to go without taking it, and they said, we can't do that. And then I started questioning, well, if my heart is okay, then why do I have to take the penicillin? It doesn't make sense to me. And they said, well, once somebody has cut into your organ like that, because of the bacteria that can get down your throat, you have to protect it with the antibiotics. So I thought to myself, okay, there's got to be a way to do this, because I did not want to take penicillin for the rest of my life. I said, well, maybe maybe if I have a really, really strong heart, then I don't have to worry about taking the medication anymore. That was my hope. So I started taking aerobics, and my goal for taking it was really just to make sure I had a healthy heart. But what I realized, I had a very high stress job at that time. And I realized that when I worked out, I had no stress afterwards. It was like everything was just relieved. Like I absolutely felt great. And if I came from work with a problem on my mind, what would happen is after working out, I would solve the problem. Like the answer just came to me. Whereas when I stewed about it all the way home, it didn't. So I started looking into that and I realized how good exercise was for stress. So at that point, I decided, okay, this is a keeper. We're going to keep on exercising because it's good for us. And then as I got older, I got into exercise during the early days, like the Jane Fonda days when it was just beginning to get big. So a lot of the things I found out on my own because I didn't have all these classes and everything at the time. So I did a lot of reading about exercise, and nutrition came next for me. What happened was I realized that as I was getting older, for some reason, I was still eating, but the weight was coming on and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I started realizing, oh, so now I have to look at what I eat. And then I was looking at, wait a minute, what am I really eating? What am I putting in my body? So then I started with the nutrition and started honing that. And then, you think you're done and you get older and it's like, oh, well, now I need to do weights. Because now as I get older, my muscles are going to be able to get ready to go. And they hadn't started, but I'm proactive in this area. So I said, well, let me start strength training and doing some strength training. And so as I trained, I decided, okay, I went one time to a trainer to get help. And I thought, I can do this. Not that I wanted to, but I could do it. And basically what brought me to training was I had a career change. I have a son who has ADHD and he needed my help. And I needed to have a career where I was flexible. And so I went to manage a gym and they didn't have a management position open. So they said, why don't you be a trainer? And I said, that's a thought. That's an idea. So then that's how I got into training. And I trained for many years. I trained anybody from 13 years old to 84, men and women. But what I found in that time is that the age group of 50 and older, as we get older, we're not taken care of as well as we can be, because a lot of times trainers don't necessarily understand. I know in the world of training, I find that I'm a little bit different because I did work in the corporate world first, and then I came to training. I haven't been a trainer all my life. And part of training is also helping people, not just physically, like with weights, but also talking about stress, their job. Because if I can get them to talk about their stress and relieve that stress, we have a better workout and they go home feeling better, maybe have a better night's sleep. So being able to relate to the stress that they get in their jobs, because I've been there before and I know how it is too, and coming up with tactics maybe to help them relieve that stress. What can you do? Can you take a walk after work on the days you don't train out with me? Can you do this? Can you do that? Helping them with their eating habits, because sometimes what they're eating and when they're eating is the challenge. When they're eating is the challenge. What they're deciding to grab. So training them to take your snacks, do this, have them in your drawer so you don't go to that machine. And then when they do that and they feel better at the end of the day, they continue to do it because they feel better. Because see, that's the thing, is when you feel good, you will do whatever you can to keep feeling good. Because once you know how bad you feel and how good you feel, feeling good is such a great, great thing. So I thought, let me go ahead and see what I can do just for that age group. And this is how Mature Fit and Fabulous came along. And it is an online application. I do train over Zoom, because one thing I found too is sometimes people who are older do not want to be in a space with everybody else because they feel like people are looking at them. Oh, I'm not in as good a shape with that person. And the other thing I found is when people train in their homes, they're more open to talk about what's going on. It's hard to talk openly when you've got somebody on the other side of the wall of you in another room. And we get so much accomplished, and it's such a wonderful thing. And I got to honestly say, as I pour out to my clients, they pour into me too. It's a relationship. We help one another. And it's really, really great. And so it's just such a great life to live if you feel good and you know what to do. So that's what really spurred me on to do it. I just think everybody should have the opportunity to live their best life in this world. We only go around the sun once. We might as well make it as good as we possibly can. And just like Juan said, it takes sacrifice. It does take sacrifice. It does. There's food changes you may need to make. It's a discipline just to go work out. I know my clients work out with me because they need somebody accountable, because they tell me all the time, I wouldn't do this if I did it on myself. But because I have a date with you, this is why I show up. And they feel good afterwards. So this is what they need to do for themselves to know that they're going to be healthy, because they're not going to do it on their own. So that's the sacrifice, the discipline. That's the discipline and responsibility. We are responsible for ourselves. Nobody else is going to be able to take care of us. First of all, nobody knows your body like you do. Nobody knows your body like you do. You know your body better than anybody else. And the more you know that, and the better you hone into it, the better off you will be. Like, what foods agree with you and what foods don't. It doesn't matter if it's a nutritious food. If it doesn't agree with you, it doesn't agree with you, and you don't eat it. But you know those things. And I think people don't take it for granted that you know yourself better than anybody else does. And own that. Know that you know yourself. And self-love, self-care is the most important thing, because I always say, you can only show up as well for somebody else as well as you are yourself. This is why on an airplane, they tell you put your mask on first, then help the next person. Because if you're busy trying to gasp for air and panicking and trying to help them, it's not going to work. So same thing with your health. The better you are for yourself, the better you are for everybody else. And that's just basically how I feel, and just love what I
do. Hey, I think you've basically opened up and shared all of the reasonings why Clear Journey is here doing what they do, because your life journey is really an example of what Clear Journey is all about. It's because it's from the ages of teens, young adults, and seniors. And guess what? You've honed in on the senior aspect, or the adult senior aspect, but your journey led up to this.
Right.
It led up to this. And that's the thing that, you made the statement as it relates to, what your body feels like. And that's really one of the things that we're trying to do at Clear Journey, is allow people to be sensitive enough to recognize because see, these changes is like what I was talking about earlier. They sneak up on you.
Yep.
They sneak up on you. And if you're unaware of it, but you had the experience that you had something that triggered your interest before the age caught up to you and started to force the game.
Right.
And so when you started to get involved and say, look, I think you had this thing about, what do I do to prevent or to stop something else from happening? Because you already had a challenge, so to speak, in your life. And so what happens is that we all need something, or hopefully we don't, but in many cases we're caused to, a challenge brings us to a point. In many cases, and like in yours, it's no different than yours. When the challenge came, you had to do some adjusting. You had to find out and realize, now I don't want to take this medicine all my life. I don't want to do this. Now, here I am speaking for someone who's been on high blood pressure medicine, trying to get off of it. But they're not going to tell you how to get off of it.
Right.
They're going to keep you on it or to maintain it.
Right.
But those things that are aware, and everything that you talked about, I am a product of the fact that if you don't know what you don't know, you're going to be subject. You're going to be subject to it, whether or not you know it or not.
Right.
And so what we're here to do tonight is to help people become more aware of the obstacles or the challenges, and hopefully navigate them a little bit better, so as to prevent and to have that more successful life, have that better feeling life. Because, when you said so many things today, and I'm like, I get up in the morning and I do my exercise and stuff, but hold on. It's not as though I don't feel the pain. I mean, I feel that discomfort, and I'm doing it anyway, but it's there. And the thing where you talk about losing muscle weight, muscle tone, all over that. You're all over the fact that that's something that's happening. Why? Because it's just not used the same way it was as a young person.
Right.
And now you've got to engage it intentionally to be able to sustain it, and you'll feel it walking up the steps. Oh, absolutely. So the point I'm saying all that to say is that what can we do as we navigate through this world, through this life? Like you say, only one trip. how can we do, and at what point can we begin to put some of these habits or these um, schedules or these events, these things into our life, so
Right.
that we can, begin to not hopefully lose
Right.
and have to go through the experience of losing them, but just maintaining them.
Right.
When can we, what are some things that we can do to try to prevent some of these things?
So some of the things, first of all, you can start today, wherever you are right now, you can start right now. There's no better time than to start right now. No matter how old you are, you're never too old and you're definitely never too young. So if you can start where you are right now, and I will tell you that one of the first things to do for people is to really look at your life. I mean, look what is going on with your life. If you're somebody who doesn't exercise, and I've heard this, oh, I'm too busy, I'm too that, I'm too this, but you're not too busy to go on vacation. You're not too busy to go out to dinner. Not too busy, so it's about putting things in perspective and carving out the time to do it just like you do everything else. And it is important to get that body moving, because our bodies weren't made to stay still. They just weren't. And in this country, we sit more probably than any other country. And the reason why everything gets stiff is because we sit at a desk all the time. And then as we get older, because we do that, because we lose our muscle tone, this is why our bodies begin to cave forward. This is why we begin to lunge forward and walk, because we're losing our strength and our muscles. So my thing is, if you can start exercising today, if you don't do anything, start walking. And here's the thing, you don't have to say, oh, start with 15 minutes, get outside and walk for 15 minutes, add on 30, start where you can start. It's better to start with something than to do nothing. The other thing is to also, if you're somebody who your eating habits aren't that great and you grab things, think about when you go to grab something, be intentional. See, this is all about being mindful and intentional is what it is. It really is. I know those words, but it is about being mindful and intentional. You have to be mindful and intentional because, like I said, we are mindful and intentional about so many other things. Vacations, planning for retirement. We plan for when we die. We plan for our kids' educations. We're intentional about those things. But the thing that's going to make us be able to enjoy all those things is the one thing we tend not to be intentional about, which is very ironic, which is our health. So even start looking at the habits. Like when you go to grab chips, why are you grabbing them? Are you stressed? Why are you grabbing the chips? Are you really hungry? Because that's how you begin to make these healthy habits, instead of saying, because sometimes you're just grabbing chips to eat and you're really dehydrated. It has nothing to do with being hungry. You're dehydrated. You need to drink some water. If you're not drinking 64 ounces of water a day, and actually most people are supposed to be a little bit more than that, depending, because it's based on your weight, then you're probably more dehydrated than eating, but you keep eating. And then you wonder why when you eat, you keep eating because your body's not getting what it needs. So you keep putting the chips in or something else in, but you're craving something else because your body isn't getting what it needs. And that might be the water instead of anything. So when you feel like you want to grab a snack or something, drink some water and see what happens, because you will find that if you're dehydrated, that whole yearning for that snack will go away. So that's something else you can do habit-wise, is just taking a look at your life and seeing why you grab the things you do. Some of it we grew up with. And it's breaking those habits that we grew up with. Some of us grew up having dessert after dinner every night. And we're having dessert after dinner now. And it's a habit we need to break. We shouldn't be having dessert after dinner every night. Because what happens is when you go to sleep, most of us, by the time you get home, your metabolism is already on slow down mode because you're sitting for the rest of the evening. So when you have that extra dessert, whatever the case may be, you're going to sleep on it. And so your metabolism is like tanking at that point. Same thing with people who come home and have an alcoholic drink every night. They don't think of it the same way as calories, but it is. It's calories plus also the other thing is, that to me is sometimes a little bit more detrimental than the dessert, because alcohol slows down your metabolism. So not only will it slow by itself, you slow it down more with the alcohol, because alcohol relaxes you. So that's exactly what it does to your metabolism. It relaxes your metabolism. And therefore you're going to bed And everything you ate or drank in the last few hours is just going to really sit there. And the notion that, oh, well, my body, if I don't eat, it will feed off of what I've got. It doesn't do that. Your body doesn't do that. If your body doesn't need it, it's not going to feed off of it. It's going to turn to fat. If it doesn't need it, it's just going to turn to fat. It's not going to say, oh, well, we've got a store over here. No, it's going to still need to be fed. And that's the thing too, that I will tell you a habit that I have noticed that people really should break is the idea, like, let's say they go out for a big lunch. Oh, I had this huge lunch, so I'm not going to eat dinner. Well, that's a big mistake because even though you've had all that food, your body still is like, yeah, but I need something else. It's like a machine. So it doesn't know, oh, I got this many calories, so I don't need this many. It's like, no, I ate here, but I need something here. And what you don't want to do is throw it into starvation mode. So that what happens is the cortisol comes out and it starts to bloat. Because then when your body bloats, then you begin to think, oh, I've had too much food to eat. And that's not the case at all. It's letting you know that it needs something, but we do the reverse of it. So even if you have a little something, if you have a big lunch, and let's say you go home and have a little salad, have something. Don't just go to bed and say, oh, I had this big lunch today, I'm full. You're full, but still give your body something like a salad or something light before you go to bed for the night.
That just creates a very good question, because what's a good time to stop eating?
A good time to stop eating is like 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. So that's the thing, right? If you're somebody who goes to bed at midnight, your last food should not be 6 or 7. It should probably be a little snack around 9 or 10.
Okay. I mean,
but nothing big, but a little snack, because people fuel their bodies, but like I said, your body's it's like a gas tank, right? You put fuel in your gas tank, and your car needs fuel to run. But if you gave your car fuel intermittently, it wouldn't run well.
Right.
Same thing with food. Same thing with your food. If you do it intermittently,
it makes perfect sense. What is the suggestion you have for people who have, they lose motivation because they can't see the results very fast?
Okay, so the thing I always say was it didn't get there overnight. Okay, so it didn't get there overnight. So it's not leaving overnight. But the one thing I do, I'm not a big proponent of always hopping on the scale. That's discouraging. What I tell people is you have to see, how are your clothes fitting? Are your clothes getting looser? That's what you need to take a look at to see whether you're having success. And it's going to be small in the beginning. It'll ramp up as you maybe add weights to your exercise and things like that. But just go by how your clothes fit, and also dial into how you feel. Don't get on the scale and use the scale as your barometer for whether you're losing weight and letting your motivation go there, because you can't, because your weight fluctuates. If you're going to use a scale, you need to get on the scale every morning, same time. Because by the time the day goes, we all gain about 2 to 3 pounds during the day. We just do. That's life. So the best way is to do it like that if you're somebody who has to have the scale. But I always say, maybe do not do the scale. Focus on the things you need to do, and then think about how your clothes are fitting and how you feel. How are you feeling? Because that's a big indicator, how you feel and how your clothes fit. Because I know training people, my clients, they get the biggest joy, not out of being on the scale, but, oh, my clothes are looser. Oh, I can do this. I had a client tell me the other day, I had 2 rolls and now I only have 1 roll in my stomach. See, it's things like that. It has nothing to do with the scale. Nothing. It has everything to do with, I had another client who she said, I feel like I'm getting bigger up here, broad, and I don't want to be broad. I said, that's not broad. That's because your posture is now here and it's not like this. And she said, one of my friends said something to me about that. She said, why are you sitting like that? And I said, like what? She said, like that. You're like not relaxed. And I said, yes, I am. But that's because your posture is where it ought to be right now. It's not like this. And she said, oh, so sometimes, I help them to recognize it too, but it's more about what they notice in their clothes and how they feel. And if they're energized, if they're not sleepy. Like I have a client who she told me, listen, she was getting in her SUV, but she would always have to pull her second leg up into the SUV with her. She said, I can just get in there without pulling my leg up. Things like that.
And that's those are the things that, I hate to say it like this, but it takes to get to that stage
Yep.
to realize that you're there to want to do something about it.
Right.
And that's the results of neglect. I mean, it's unfortunate enough, but we don't know what we don't know until it hits us in the face. So let me ask you a question. Of the three things that we talked about so far, we talked about eating, we talked about exercise, nutrition, those things like that. Where do we start? Which area of this triangle do we start, so to speak? Which would be the best and the most effective thing to start with?
Okay, so the most effective thing to start with is food. However, the best thing to start with is getting moving, because people have a hard time adjusting the food. So
Okay.
if they can start getting moving first and get yourself in the momentum of moving, that is at least getting your metabolism up higher than it has been.
Okay.
And your body will be churning more. Nutrition is the best, but in my years and my experience, that is the hardest area for people to tackle. And in my experience, most people do not tackle nutrition until they have done some exercise, because unfortunately, and there's no other way to say this, we still live in a world today where subconsciously a lot of people believe, well, it's not my food. If I just exercise, it'll take care of it. So it takes going through the exercise. You may feel better, but realizing, okay, that's not taking care of it, to get to the point of, let me see what I can do with the food. We almost first have to be proven, you can't exercise a bad diet away. But it takes going through the motions a lot of times and realizing, okay, exercise isn't doing it. It's like kind of proving that it's not doing it in order to get to the point of, okay, let's take a look at the food and now let's do something about it.
I mean, it's amazing. Now let's put it like this. Now, you say that it's a combination. The food is the most important, but to start with the exercise. But at the same time, can you do the food without the exercise? I don't think so.
It's very difficult, because the problem is when you do the food without the exercise, one, you don't see the results as much. The other thing too is, depending on how much, if you want to lose weight, it's always better to be exercising and losing weight at the same time. And the reason why is this: people lose weight, but if you don't exercise, it turns flabby. Exercising afterwards is too late. You've got to do them in tandem. You've got to be exercising and losing the weight at the same time so you can tone up what you're losing. And I've seen it happen so many times when people come to a gym or a studio and I've lost all this weight. Now I want to tone up. And it's like, we're only going to tone you up but so much, because you should have been toning up and losing weight at the same time. They really go together.
That's good information. That's information. I mean, because that's interesting. I'm on that journey, so to speak. But I mean, it's 10, 15 pounds. But the thing about it is 10, 15 pounds has an appearance, has a different kind of appearance,
right?
Than it does on you when you lose it. And it's amazing what it looks like when you begin to lose 10 or 15 pounds. And it's interesting because I notice it because I am working out. And it's noticeable. And so I have to be able to continually tone that area, especially in the abdomen area, is where it is. And so, I mean, these are things that we have to understand as we grow older, as we get older, but it also takes a mindset to get there. How can we build that? So let me ask a question. What's the first steps to that eating healthy style? What is that that first step to the eating healthy style?
The first step to eating healthy style. So when I work with someone, the first thing I go to is, what foods can you not live without? What foods can you, and I mean the ones that you just gotta have, like you just gotta have them. Like if you don't have them, then there goes, I'm not willing to do this. And most people only come up with like maybe a few. There's not a lot. There's a few. Okay. So
Are there anything healthy? Are there anything healthy?
Sometimes, but not usually. Usually it's not healthy. Yeah. So we put those on the side and we know, okay, so we're going to incorporate these because a lot of times it's not what you're eating, it's how much you're eating and when you're doing it. And honestly, most people do not eat that I've helped do not eat totally unhealthy. Their foods aren't really unhealthy. Now, in some cases, we might have to scale back on some of the sauces and things on some food. But for the most part, they eat healthy food. They don't go to fast food restaurants. They may go to a restaurant, but most restaurants aren't giving you fast food. They're giving you a meal. So it's not that their food is so bad, but it's how much they eat and when they eat it and how often, right? So we look at those foods first. And then I find that the easiest way for someone to change their nutrition, no one changes it all at one time and does a great job. It just does not work. Life doesn't work that way. So when I work with people, we take one meal at a time. So we look at breakfast and go, okay, so let's talk about breakfast because breakfast is a big one because you'd be surprised how many people don't eat it at all. I mean, it's not a part of their life. And there's been different studies and different opinions on this. My opinion is your body needs something to jumpstart it during the day for the day. When you wait until noon, it's kind of asleep until noon.
Let me ask a question. And on that being said, on the intermittent fasting.
I was about to say, except for intermittent fasting, because they're on a whole different program type of thing, right? So, because my mom does intermittent fasting, Yeah. And so that works. And that works as long as because I look at intermittent fasting this way. I said, intermittent fasting is no different. I told my mother, it's no different than how we grew up. I said, when you think about it, I said, we'd grow up, right? We'd have our meal for breakfast. We'd have our meal at lunch at school. We'd have a snack at home. We'd have dinner by a certain time. And we'd start the day the next day at the same time. So it was kind of like there was this window of time we ate and a whole window of time we didn't. So with intermittent fasting, it's a little bit different because you have set times that you're eating all the time. And that makes a big difference versus the person who's grabbing this here, grabbing that there, whenever they grab it. So intermittent fasting is very different because that does work very well. Not for everybody, for a lot of people it does. It works well for my mom too. So for that, but most people, and for like when they eat a meal, they say, oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. So it's like trying to find meals that you're willing to do and planning it out. And breakfast is the easiest. Breakfast I pick because that area is hard. Because if you eat breakfast foods do not have a lot of calories in them. Right? They don't really have a lot of calories in them. And trying to get the protein because, you should have protein in every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I tell my clients, I want some protein in the snacks too. If it's nuts and a piece of fruit or cheese and something, you need your protein. And the older we get, it is so important. It is so important that we have our protein. Protein out of all of them, out of fats, carbs, and protein, unless you're on dialysis or unless you've had something like a kidney stone, there's nothing out there saying that there's a cap on how much protein you can have. Fat and carbs, yes, but not on protein. So, and then that's the one thing we usually don't get enough of. So protein is huge. So it's trying to find breakfast meals that people actually can eat. And then once we get breakfast done, we might do breakfast for a week. Let's see how we do. Some people it's longer than a week, so they can't get together. But it's a process and it's a journey, right? And so we do breakfast, then lunch, then dinner, and then the snacks. And I will tell you, most of the time, once somebody is on target with all that, and that's if they do breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. Somebody may only do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It depends on lifestyle. So everybody's is very different depending on what they can do. And most of the time, people will mess up in the area of snacks. Snacks is the problem. Mm-hmm. Breakfast usually ends up not being a problem. Lunch is usually not a problem. Dinner, but snacks is a problem. Mm-hmm. If people eat snacks and trying to make sure that we have the healthy snacks, but there's times when you may not have a healthy snack, but you have to gauge it. You have to, again, goes back to being mindful and intentional. Like, for example, I might say, okay, I'm going to go out. I might have this. And I can have this because I'm working out tomorrow morning. So I'm going to make sure I take care of this. But if I'm not working out tomorrow morning, okay, let's be wise about what we're doing.
That's it. I mean, because again, you understand what the consequences are, the ramifications of what your choices are. I
Yep.
think it begins to then, alter and change, modify some decisions that you make. Because I remember I was at the gym and they were talking about, they had a McDonald's meal up on the wall. And they said, do you know how long it's going to take you to work this off? I think it was like something crazy, like 16 hours of working out to offset a McDonald's meal.
Hmm.
And again, that was like eye opening to the thing to think about, you
Right.
know. And look, again, these are all the things that we just don't know. We don't know.
Right.
And it's until we hear these things and understand them that we can begin to make decisions and choices, knowing what the ramifications are, knowing what the consequences are. I think
Yeah.
so many of us is like out of sight, out of mind. But what we want to do is enlighten you so that you can be intentional,
Yep.
because it's nothing worse than being subject to something that you didn't know.
Exactly.
That's really truly being a victim.
Yep.
And so what we're suggesting is we're going to give you some information and bring some awareness as it relates to what are make choices.
Yes.
Here's the thing. You're going to make a choice, but have the determining have something in that choice that you want to be the outcome that you're looking for.
Right.
And that's the point I'm saying is that many times is we don't look at the outcome,
Right.
or we don't look for the outcome. We just look for the moment. And it's like, what are we doing? So that being said, what do you think are some of the bigger hangups that people have as it relates to the whole holistic health and wellness concept? What's the thing to your experiences that people that hold them back?
They think that they're not gonna have the fun in life that they want to have. They think they're not gonna have fun. Like they think they have to change their eating or anything like that. And then people they think, well, I don't like to exercise, so they've already defeated themselves there because they just don't want to do it. So there's so many people who will sit and say, oh this, oh that, and I'll give you an example. My clients will tell people, like one of my clients, she has people at work say something. She goes, well, I have a trainer and you can talk to, and then all of a sudden they have every excuse why that won't work. So they're not coming up with a solution, but they're complaining about it because they want to change, but they don't want to put forth the effort that's going to take to change, or they've already put it in their minds what the change is going to be without even trying it. And that is, I think, the very thing that holds most people back. I'm too busy. My life is too busy. And, I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Your health is your health. And when you're older and can't do this, this, and that, that's too late. And so it's just really just getting out of that mindset, like, okay, let's go walking in the park and sticking to it. Let's go walk in the park. It's an intentional thing and being just as intentional, but people do not like change. And that's what I find it is. They do not like change. But nothing happens without change, right? Nothing. And change isn't easy. When I was younger, I didn't like it, but I came to the conclusion that, yeah, but I don't like being complacent either. I don't like being
Well,
complacent. I don't like status quo either. So I've got to be willing to change, or I'm going to be unhappy here. And even if the change is a challenge, I need to take the challenge because I just can't be here. I've got to be able to be progressing and knowing that I'm doing well. And I think a big part of my journey too, as I got older, is like I said, I have a son, and I don't want him to have to take care of me when he gets older. He has a life to live. He has his own life to live. And I do not want him to have to, I didn't ever want him to have to, listen, he's an only child, have to take care of his mom because she's not well or she didn't do what she needed to do. It's different if I come down with something that is totally out of my control. But when I have my health that I could take care of, and I watched this happen, I have some friends, and he's an only child, and his father got really ill. And they were in their 40s, and he and his wife had to spend all their time taking care of dad, And I thought, I do not want my son to do this. I want him to live his life. I don't want his life to be consumed with having to take care of his mom or worry about his mom. And that was another driver as I got older was, I don't want my son to have to take care of me.
You just really stepped on the name of the podcast. It's life.
Mm-hmm.
And until we really understand and can conceptualize what that all entails, this thing called life,
Yep.
and it's really that simple, is to really understand that, how do we navigate this thing called life? And that's what this is all about, because you were talking about change, and change is it's inevitable in life.
Yes.
You cannot duck it or dodge it, or get around it. Now, here's the thing. It's how are you going to experience it is going to determine how you are going to navigate it, or how
Exactly.
successfully you will be in it, because
Yep.
it's going to change.
Yep.
It can't, it's in pop. Here's the thing. We are changing every moment, and life, as we are pursuing through it, as we are venturing through this experience, it's inevitable.
Yes.
We're the change. We
Yep.
are the change.
Yep.
And how well we are intentional in navigating it is going to dictate how it's going to our experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's never too late. It's never too early. Let's put it like this. It's never
Right.
too
Never
early
too early.
to understand this.
Yeah.
And the things that you're talking about is essential at every age.
Yes.
It's not,
Absolutely.
it's just, when it gets a little bit longer, older in the time, it really gets your back up against the wall at that point.
Right.
Whereas is that you can, like you said, you were like, because your son has a life to live, I've got to do the best I can to live my life also, and allowing him the ability to live his.
Mm-hmm.
And that's profound, and so much, it's so necessary also,
Yeah.
that each of us understand that, because it's only one time around.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And we all usually want the best for our kids. And it's like we're not giving them the best when they're having to take care of us or find a place to put us, or that is, I mean, I watched it take such a toll on the lives of my friends, and I'm like, I do not want my son to deal with that. I don't want him to have to take care of his mom. He has a life to live. I've lived my life. My parents take very good care of themselves, thank goodness. With a little bit of nudging, but but because it's really important. And so, but the thing is that's so beautiful about that, right, is I see both my parents thrive in life. They're still thriving at 83 years old, and it's just wonderful to see that they can go do whatever they want because they have their health, and it makes such a huge difference.
It's the most, look, we talk about life and time as the richest
Mhm.
resources, and this thing called our bodies, this is the thing that we use to be able to experience that time, which is
Yep.
so important, that rich thing. But if we're not here, time is irrelevant.
Right. Right.
Time is
Exactly.
that richest thing. That is that thing that you can't get it back.
That's
You
right.
can't buy it, you can't get it back. But yet, if you're not here to experience it, it's useless.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
means that we've got to put our priorities in place.
Yes.
We've got to take care of ourselves, and the sooner the better.
Because you know what? The other thing too is, and that it is so important because medications have so many side effects, some of them. And if you take a lot of them, one doesn't agree with the other. The body was not meant to take them. We do take them because we need them, but the less of them we can take, the better off we will be. And then another note on nutrition, which is if people are willing to do this is what I've had my clients do, and they've been successful, is if they're willing to track their food. And when I say, and when people hear that, they go, ugh. Well, you don't have to track it for forever. You don't have to track it for, see, everybody looks at it as a forever process. No, first I have them track it for 2 weeks, and I don't want them to change a thing. I want them to eat the way they eat and put it in there because I want them to see what it looks like. And then we're going to go over it and tweak it. And it probably takes them about a good few months to get it on track. So they're doing it, verbatim. However, we're human and we go backwards. Sometimes stress happens and we end up eating the way we don't want to, and we find that we're back. But this is the beauty about tracking it. You can always go back in that tracker and see when you were doing well and pick it up and start eating well again and not having to rethink it because you've already done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why I have people do it 2 weeks without changing anything, because when I do that, they get an eye opener of what they're doing. Like one of my clients said, I never knew eating that much fruit was causing me all her weight because it was so much sugar. I said, you're eating too much fruit. I said, you can't eat that much fruit. And when she realized it, when she realized how many calories she was taking in versus what she was supposed to take in, she changed her diet. She dialed things back. She goes, oh my goodness, I had no idea. It's like you said, if people don't know that a venti drink at Starbucks usually has as much sugar in it as you're supposed to have for an entire day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, you have answered every question that I had on my list to answer, and you basically ran through them in your everything that you've been talking about. That being said, so how can people reach you and get more information from you?
Okay, so what you can do is I have a website. It's www.maturefitandfab.com. And if you hit the contact, it will take you to a form that you can fill out that will come directly to me. And I have a free consultation. And with this consultation, whether it's something where you want to train or you decide not to, it doesn't matter. What I want you to get out of that consultation is something that will help you to know you better, to make your life better. And I also have, if you hit the More tab, there's resources there. There's a 10-minute challenge you can do in the morning, and there's another challenge you can do there. There's exercises that you can start a program with yourself that I have in my resources for you to use.
Hey, that sounds like everything you need right there at your website. Mm-hmm. That's going to be interesting to know. We won't even get into all of that. It's going to be available. We're not going to get into that. I'm not even going to say something that I want to say right now, but I'm not going to say it. But people are going to know more about you and hear more about you, hopefully in the future, because you're going to be a part of us in the future. And
Absolutely.
so we are looking forward to that partnership or a fellowship or agree or coming together. But I can't tell you enough how much this has meant to us. This has really been great and full of information, and hopefully understanding in life, it doesn't matter where you are, what stage of life. Again, one of the things that we focus on in the book that I created or wrote called Love Made Simple, we break it down into 4 stages, and it's stages of life. It's life. And no matter what stage you're in, the better and the sooner you understand how like Duanita was telling me, she says, come be a part, spend some time, come check her out. And she says she wants you to know you better.
Right.
That is phenomenal. And to what that really means, because what that speaks to is that most of us don't know who we are.
Right.
As it pertains to how we function. We just look at ourselves in the mirror and compare ourselves to somebody else, and we are an original.
Yes.
We are originals. And so that takes some getting to know, getting used to. And so we like to support anybody and everybody who's helping people make a difference in their lives, learn more about themselves. So by all means, people, go to our website, find out more about yourself. There's nothing more important than that. It will it will serve you well in so many other areas of life, not only in nutrition and wellness and stuff. It will help you in your finances. It will help you in your relationships. It will help you in just overall navigating this thing called life. It starts with you.
Yes.
So that being said, I got on my little soapbox. Um, I again want to thank you for being here. And I want to just wrap up the show, and I will be back to see you in a minute. But thank you very much for being here with us.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
All righty. Well, hopefully, guys, there was something that you heard tonight that you can surely use as you continue to navigate life more successfully. And I hope you were able to hear just a little bit of the things that we were talking about, the attitudes of love. You really need that attitude to be able to navigate these things. It's not, by no means are we saying that the things that she was sharing with us tonight is easy. But what she was saying is giving us simple instructions, understanding, so that we can be able. And now it's up to us. And then she was stepping on my toes. I mean, I didn't tell her why she was there, but she was stepping on my toes too. So you're not the only one. And so I too have to do some work. So by all means, take what you hear and let's be better off for it as we go forward. Again, if there's something that you want to learn more about Clear Journey, go over to clearjourney.org, and we look forward to seeing you next time on It's Life. But as usual, we can't change life, but we can help you navigate it just a little bit better. So until next time, we'll see you then.